Hello everybody, in today's video we're going to be going over a snowy and cold start to October. For the first about 10 to 15 days of October, we are going to be in a cold and potentially snowy pattern, especially for the eastern two-thirds of the United States from the Rockies eastward. We're going to be dealing with snowfall potential for parts of the interior Northeast, the upper Great Lakes, the upper Midwest, and also parts of the Rockies and the mountainous West in general. We're also going to be going over how cold your temperatures could be, especially again for the eastern two-thirds of the United States. So let's get right into it here. Let's start off with your current National Weather Service page. For parts of central Nebraska as well as northwestern Colorado, we have some freeze watches and frost advisories in effect. We also have some smoke advisories in effect for portions of Colorado and into parts of central California there. We also have some red flag warnings in effect for parts of Utah, California, Oregon, and also parts of northern California there. We also have some wind advisories stretching for parts of southern New Mexico, southern Texas, parts of northern Louisiana, southern Arkansas, and southeasternmost parts of Oklahoma there. So let's start off here with your current temperature anomalies, and this is basically as of when I'm recording this right now, and this is giving you kind of a glimpse at what's happening currently. We have a big upper level low pressure system that's dragging some of these warm or these colder temperatures to the east. We also have that warm air ahead of the cold front, and then we have your warm front, which is kind of stretching all the way up like this. So we have a interesting pattern in place. Again, we have that warm front to the east, we have the cold front that's back up behind the low pressure system, and as that low pressure system moves forward, we're going to see that cold air again take the place of the warm air. So this would be again basically by right now. Let's continue into Tuesday morning, and this is really overtaking parts of the central United States and also parts of the central and southern Rockies. Now, this is the European ensemble model. This is a combination of about 51 models averaged out together, showing you how cold or warm your temperatures will be compared to normal. So this is a fairly accurate model in terms of where the temperatures are going to be. The actual values are going to be quite higher than what it's showing here, just because it's averaging out about 51 models. So there will be a couple models that indicate 15 degrees Celsius below normal, while some models will only indicate 5 degrees Celsius below normal. So there's going to be some discrepancy there as to how intense it'll be, but the general location and positioning of it will be fairly certain because of how many models are being averaged out here. So this would be, again, by tomorrow morning. Here would be by Wednesday morning, and we're looking at much of the southern, I would say half of the United States, as well as up into the Great Lakes and even parts of the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic there, getting into some of the colder than normal temperatures by Wednesday morning. Here's by Thursday morning, and we're looking at parts in the much of the central and again eastern United States. New England is still holding on to some of those warmer temperatures, as well as areas west of the Rockies. But for much of the areas east of the Rockies, we're dealing with some cooler than normal temperatures, and we can kind of tell that there's two different distinct areas of low pressure. We have one area that's spinning around up in the northern Great Lakes and parts of the upper Midwest. And then we have another area which is situated over the southern United States, including the Gulf of Mexico. So we have two different areas, and that's going to be converging with each other to kind of make one big, broad, low pressure system that's going to center over right around the Tennessee Valley and parts of the southeast as well. So let's play this forward a little bit. Here would be by Friday, and you see both of them converge, and we see a lot colder temperatures start to move in to the central United States and the eastern United States, and those warm temperatures in parts of New England are starting to get kicked out by this point. Now, here is for Saturday morning, October 3rd, and all of the eastern United States, for the most part, except for parts of Maine there, are now engulfed in this very cold air, and those greens, those purples, indicating those colder than normal temperatures. And once you get into the purples and the pinks, that's where you're starting to get into those extremely below normal temperatures. And all of this is in Celsius. There's no way for me to switch it to Fahrenheit, but this will be even colder in Fahrenheit when you convert it over. So here would be by Sunday morning, October 4th, and we're seeing those cold temperatures still for portions of the central and eastern United States. Here is by Monday morning, October 5th, and we're looking at still the heart of the cold centered over Kansas and Nebraska, but we see another area still situated over parts of the south central, so, or the parts of the southeast, I would say, and we see two different distinct areas, and those are again going to be converging. So we're going to see multiple areas of troughing over the eastern United States, but look what's happening. We're going to start to see this shut off a little bit, and you're going to end up not having a supply from Canada anymore just because we're seeing high pressure start to build in over parts of central and western Canada where this cold air is coming from. You see all the cold air centered over the eastern United States, eastern Canada, much of Mexico there, but look at further to the north and to the west, where are you going to get that cold air from if you have no connection to the polar regions? So we see that warm air really overtaking parts of the western United States. The cold air trapped over the east, and we also have another high pressure that's out to the east of there. So this cold air has nowhere to go. So it's just going to continue to weaken just because there's no resupplying of the cold air. So it's going to gradually weaken, but it's going to stay stationary, and you'll see that play out on the model. But again, you have no more polar connection going past about October 4th or 5th. You have no more connection to the polar regions, which will allow no more strengthening in this cold air. So you're just going to see it sit over the east. Now here will be by October 6th, Tuesday morning, and we're looking at still those cold temperatures from basically anywhere just west of the Mississippi and eastward. We're looking at those cold temperatures. Here would be by October 7th, and you're seeing the cold air, or the cold air is really getting suppressed, squished in between all the warm air to the west and also to the north in Canada, and we're seeing only portions of parts of the southern Great Lakes, much of the southeastern quarter of the U.S., and also parts of the northeast under that cold air still. Here would be by October 8th, Thursday morning, and we're looking at the cold temperatures now receding to only the eastern third of the United States, and you're really starting to tell that we're getting that warmer to really encroach on the cold air, and now we're starting to see the cold air really dissipate and move further and further to the east until eventually it all dies out. Here would be by October 9th, and here would be by October 10th, and we're looking at that cold air remaining for the east coast. Here would be by October 11th, and we're still under some moderately, I would say probably average conditions to maybe slightly above average by this point. Now let's start looking a little bit further to the north. Now this is 360 hours out. Now something I want you guys to pay attention to, even though at this point you would be in the warm temperatures, look what we're seeing over parts of Alaska and also western Canada. We're looking at some colder air, or at least average temperatures. Now because this is an average ensemble model, we are going to be dealing with some closer to normal values, although I think it'll be much colder when this actually happens. And if you start to get that colder build in again over parts of the western Canada regions, also for Alaska and into parts of the northwest, that's where our cold air actually originated from for this cold air attack that's upcoming. So if we start to get more cold air regenerating up here, we could see that definitely translate into cold air over the eastern half or 2/3 of the United States. So let's look at the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook from the Climate Prediction Center. We're looking at cold temperatures for the east, warm for the west, and that same pattern translates into the 8 to 14 day outlook from October 5th to October 11th. Now here's a cool map that I actually utilized in yesterday's video, and I'm going to utilize this again because you guys did actually enjoy this type of style. Now this is a map showing you how many of the ensemble members, there's 51 of them in the European ensemble model, how many ensemble members showed at least a trace of snowfall for each of these individual regions going through October 13th. And as I play this through, you'll start to understand it a little bit more. So over parts of the Cascades, 42 out of the 51 models showed at least some snowfall for those regions, at least a dusting or a trace. Now in this region for parts of the Sierra Nevada mountains and into parts of Utah and also parts of Idaho, we're looking at 24 of the 51 models indicating some snowfall for those regions. In an area squashed in between parts of Idaho, Oregon, and Washington, we're looking at 32 out of the 51 models indicating some snowfall for those regions, 2 out of the 51 models indicating some snowfall for much of Arizona there, and then 22 out of the 51 models indicating some snowfall for southwestern Wyoming, much of Utah and into western Colorado there. 15 out of the 51 models indicating some snowfall for southern Colorado and much of New Mexico, as well as a little bit of the panhandle of Texas there. We have 51 out of the 51 models, all of them in the European Ensemble member models show some snowfall for at least the central and northern Rockies. For the Midwest and the Northern Plains, we're looking at 30 out of the 51 models indicating some snowfall for those regions. So you can really start to get a percentage out of these, and it'll give you a good chance of how likely you are to see some snowfall. 51 out of the 51 models also indicating some snowfall for parts of Minnesota, the UP of Michigan, Wisconsin, and northern Michigan. And this could be a little bit misleading, I would say, this area. Areas in parts of southern Minnesota and Iowa, I do have a couple of viewers from there that commented on yesterday's video. You will most likely see, I counted about 5 to 6 of those models indicating snowfall for you. Most of the snowfall models, most of the models indicated snowfall for this region, and that's why 51 out of the 51 models showed snowfall for those regions. So if you live in this area, you're not as likely to see snowfall as this indicates. I would give it probably a 20 to 30% chance of that occurring. Now, over parts of the southern Great Lakes, we're looking at a 3 out of 51, 3 out of the 51 models indicating snowfall, 1 out of the 51 models indicating snowfall for parts of the central Appalachians. For parts of central Pennsylvania, upstate New York, and southern Vermont, we're looking at 8 out of the 51 models. And then again, for northern New England and the interior Northeast, 22 out of 51 models indicating some snowfall for those regions. So if you guys did like that map, I'll continue to show it in my videos that feature the cold air and the snow potential for early October, and I think I might continue to use this type of map style. So anyways, that is going to wrap it up for today's video. Please consider liking the video, subscribing, and turning on notifications, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.